Hello and welcome. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. You're joining us on a special episode of the NewsX and Businessworld panels on the Indian economy. We are decoding what the opportunities are right now for India and also looking at how the recently announced financial stimulus will help corporate India. What are the pluses in that stimulus packages? What are the minuses? What still do various sectors expect from the government? And what are the opportunities available for us to turn this adversity into a positivity for our country? Joining us, as always, a very special panel. We have today Dr. Vivek Bindra, founder and CEO of BadaBusiness.com. With us, Ms. Jyoti Mayal, president of the Travel Agents Association of India, also joins us. Prabal Basu Roy, Sloan Fellow from the London Business School and director and advisor to chairman of various corporate boards. In fact, he's also been formerly group CFO in various companies, is with us live as well. Ravinder Singh Ahuja, senior partner of RS Ahuja & Co., a chartered accountant, also joins us live. Mr. Nagesh Vasavanali, MD and CEO of Greaves Cotton, is with us as well. Dr. Ananta Singh Raghuvanshi, Senior Executive Director, Sales and Marketing for Experian, is with us live. And Dr. Anurag Batra, Chairman and Editor-in-Chief of Businessworld and Exchange for Media Group, completes the panel this evening. Welcome all of you. Thank you so much for being with us. Prabal Basu Roy, let me begin with you first. Decode for us what has gone right in the stimulus package. What are the big pluses from your side, the big thumbs up, and what are the thumbs down? What has the government leaving industry wanting more?
You see, Uday, this was not really a real stimulus package. I think that's a misnomer in the first place, because it was more to do with relief measures on one hand and various measures to cushion the impact of what is going on, right? And this is primarily because the lower fiscal space which was there to offset this impending contraction was a constraint the government had. So that is fully understood. So let's contextualize what the government of India is actually doing. I think that is important here to understand, and perhaps it will set the stage. See, because of the pre-COVID time, the macroeconomics were anyway weak of the country, right? So therefore, I think the strategic choice which it made in terms of, let's say, going for fiscal prudence rather than spending our way out of it was a choice which the government made. And it can't be totally faulted for that, because the other option would have been to monetize the debt.
Yes.
And that, without a credible exit plan, would have made matters potentially much worse, leading to hyperinflation, debt defaults, currency depreciation, and so on and so forth, and sovereign downgrades. So our situation is very different from that of the US, which, because of its reserve currency status of the US dollar, can afford to go on this route without any problems. Because ultimately, what they are doing is they will never generate budget surpluses to repay this debt, but that is fine because it's a reserve currency.
Yes. So
the question is, which before the government was, who is actually going to pay for it? Now, in the case of US, it is going to be ultimately paid by a boom-bust cycle on asset prices in some time in the future. Whereas in our case, we would have to pay through inflation. This is what the government did not want to do. So I think on that particular issue, I do not think that the government can be faulted too much. What it has done, therefore, is that it has unleashed, along with the stimulus package, a whole set of reforms. Now, the gamble it is taking is that these reforms will work, will be implemented properly, and therefore domestic and foreign capital will come in and kickstart the entire economic cycle. Now, this is what the government is actually gambling on. So, like I said, not monetizing is fine to come. My immediate side was more direct transfer to people, to the vulnerable sections of the society and the MSMEs in terms of income support, and more targeted measures towards the migrant labor and the vulnerable class. So these were at a very high level, I think this is where I am on the
Fair enough.
stimulus
Dr. Batra, do you have a quick follow-up before I move on?
I'll let everyone come in first.
Yeah, let's get opening comments, and then we'll of course come back to detail, of course, some of the some of the opportunities, and of course also what government can still do apart from the stimulus package. Jyoti Maya, let me come to you next. As far as of course the travel sector is concerned, it is largely quite disappointed so far, isn't it? What were you really expecting? Also, the government has opened up certain aerial routes. They believe this will be beneficial for aviation companies. Also, also lead to less flying time. And possibly new aerial routes as well. Is that a plus, at least for the travel sector? What else did you expect? Ms. Mayal, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Sorry.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you, Anurag, and thank you, Uday, for having me here. Well, yes, we are very disappointed where the reliefs and rebates have been concerned. We as an industry are a huge industry. And I think we are the backbone of every country. Everyone looks at tourism in a format that it's the backbone of country, and many countries are just surviving on tourism. And we thought that, under our honorary Prime Minister's leadership, when we've been hearing him speak about tourism, it got substituted with someone else, I think. So we did not get any relief, any rebates, and what were we asking for? We were not asking for anything much. We were just asking for statutory reliefs so that the industry could survive. That's all what we were asking for. We were not asking for huge monies. We were asking for that we are one of the largest GST providers to the country. So why can't we get some hand holding from that side? Or why can't we just get some leverage on taxes? Mentioned even as an industry. I understand some MSMEs were given rebates and reliefs, but the entire, and still actually we have a chartered accountant here. We'd love to hear his viewpoints also, that how we going to really split the MLA. Yes, we needed to open, because when we are not getting any support from the government, we needed to act and start reviving our business, though it's going to be very challenging. Yes, you said the airspace is going to be shorter. We are going to go in direct flights. Well, all that is going to affect the industry of aviation. And aviation, when I say, it's the airlines. I would love to see that actually come down to trickle down the profits to the travel agents, which it never does. The YQs and the the oil has reduced prices many times, but we've never seen the benefit going to our members or the agent fraternity. So whatever happens is that travel industry is a part of the aviation and the Ministry of Tourism industry, but somehow the link between the aircrafts and the travel agents somehow disappears. And I think travel agents should be given a very important status, because we are the link and we are the ones who fill the aircrafts, maybe the bellies or maybe the seats, but that's how we are, and we are the conduit to do this business. But somehow we are never given that credit that we are also in the aviation industry. So I'm sure the aircraft people, the ones who are running airlines, will be benefited in certain ways. But if it comes to our membership at large, we are not very sure about that, but it's never happened. So okay. I would say that I didn't hear your third question. Was there another?
Yeah, I'll just come back to you. And you brought up the chartered accountant on our panel, so let me get R.S. Ahuja at that point for his opening comments as well. Mr. Ahuja, you can of course react to that point Ms. Mayal was making over the splitting of this MSME sector, because we've seen recently that the government clarify that the loans actually can also be applicable for companies which fall in a certain bracket in the travel sector, in the hotel sector, and in the tourism sector as well. So you can of course react to that, Mr. Ahuja, and your opening comments on the government stimulus provided so far, and of course the opportunities right now which we need to tap in on.
Well, at the moment, what is happening is that this is a situation which is not found in any textbooks. It's a kind of a one-off situation. We've had earlier crisis, economic crisis, but none of them have been sort of an expectation that they would last so long. Now we are looking at this to probably last the medical effect of this up to the end of 2021. So I would say that whatever solutions the government is giving is also based on their inputs, and which is sometimes a knee-jerk reaction. You know, nobody really knows what's going to be right, and by the time we'll know what is right and wrong, maybe much damage would have been done. So having said that, I feel that, you know, more than the macro bit, you need to work on the micro bit, in the sense that, you know, instead of saying that we are going to collect the deficit through tax, I would say you should reduce direct tax. Even if it amounts to bringing, let us say, unaccounted money in the books, at least the money comes in circulation in the economy. You should monetize your gold, even if it means conversion of black money into white. You should give rebates on GST. For the, let's say, for the builder sector, you should give a stamp duty reduction, so that there is an immediate benefit that is passed on. And you see what has happened today, the psyche is such that the business is completely stopped. You know, we've been allowed to open our office since the 3rd of May. And till today, we haven't had a single client walk in. For, you know, so what I'm saying is that the whole cycle is churning out very, very slow. So this 2-month effect, if all goes well, will probably roll back into some normalcy in the next 2 months. So here is what I'm saying is that let's forget what the government does, if it's going to bring out positive results or not. The government doesn't know, the world economists don't know, and we don't know.
Yeah.
But the government should be seen as very proactive, very reform friendly, and, you know, it should take the suggestions and go ahead with it right now, not seriously worrying how it pinches the government's pocket. Because anyway, they're not getting anything. I don't think the June 15th direct advance tax, they're going to get anything there. I don't think we are filing GST returns where hardly any money is being deposited. So therefore, they are not getting anything. So they should go for revival of the sentiment. And that would be a very, very important part, because the sentiment is more important than what is actually happening on the ground, where the sentiment will transform into reality in the next couple of weeks. So that's my first take on it.
All right, that's a pragmatic take from you. Let me take that then to Dr. Raghuvanshi next, if I can. Dr. Raghuvanshi, your take on what you've heard so far from the government on the stimulus. Also, Dr. Batra making the point earlier, of course, that the real estate sector also has been left a bit disappointed. There has been, of course, an announcement. You got certain reprieve for pending projects under RERA and under other stipulations. But is that enough? What more did you expect? And what are the thumbs up, at least from your sector and your side, to what you've heard so far?
Right. Hi, Uday. Thank you so much for that question. Uday, we are in times where, these are very, very strange times for us. In the real estate sector, already the sector was struggling for the last so many years. And it was just about coming out of all those struggles. And then now we are talking in a week where we have already been bombarded with not just COVID, but then there is cyclone, and there is earthquake, and there is locust fear. And, you know, we're bombarded with so many things from all different sides. Now, what is going to be tested here is leadership skills. So I think what is really needed is that the leadership needs to be very, very agile and go back to the drawing board. What business are we in? What value are we adding? And how are we going to start from ground zero and fix things in every area? Smallest of area needs to be relooked at, that in the new world, how is this going to be working for us? So externally, you need agility, but internally, you need absolute inner tranquility. Because to be very honest with you, while some organizations like mine may be debt-free, may have ready-to-move-in products, but that's not the case with everybody. The government, firstly, taking the initiative for these reforms, RERA giving more time, the force majeure situation, and focus on transport infrastructure. These are all very good things. Rome was not built in a day. Even they can't fix everything in one day. So I still am extremely positive that builders who have been conscientious, who are committed, and who have been doing the right things and intend to do the right things, they are going to sail through with this also. This is not going to hold them back, to be very honest with you. Because see, there is a fear of exposure, which is why people are not coming to Ahuja's D's office. But at the same time, there is also a fear of mass bankruptcy. People don't want to lose their jobs. People want to have their own homes. They don't want to keep dealing with a tenant. They want their parents and their elderly and work from home office within their residence. So all those upgrades and all those plans are not going anywhere. When you talk of essential commodities, they were open all through this lockdown. And if they are contributing 30-40%, I think Bindraji would have the facts and figures, then that was still running. Now, as far as the others are concerned, 2 months in a whole year, in a whole lifespan of a business, can it push you back to this extent that you cannot stand up again? Is that how you have been managing your business? But at the same time, we have to listen to what Prabalji is also saying, which is governments are run by taxpayer money, and the middle class and upper middle class contribute the most to this. You have to secure them and take care of them, at the same time focus on the bottom of the pyramid also. So you have to move in a very balanced way to make sure that we get
Those are valid points. Those are valid points, Dr. Raghuvanshi. I'll return to you. And great to see you, remain optimistic as well for the outlook for your sector and look at the opportunities rather than just what's gone wrong, for your sector specifically. Let me bring in Mr. Basavanhalli, if we can, at this point. Welcome, sir. Your initial takeaways, what your thumbs up is for the government so far, what's in the package that you're happy with so far, and what still you expect from them in the days ahead. Look, various sectors have not been touched upon, but we are hearing that there could be sector specific announcements which could happen all the way till the end of this year.
Yeah, thanks Uday. Thanks. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me on the show. As it really, obviously, your other speakers have talked about, this is a once in a lifetime, once in 100 years kind of a situation, right? So obviously, everybody is dealing with it for the first time. So some things obviously are very welcome in terms of the quantum of the package, right? But where I come from the focus of manufacturing, auto, industrial, new age industries like electric mobility, etc. What we are seeing is obviously our supply chain is significantly hit. Manufacturing was stopped here, whereas in some countries in the West, manufacturing continued all through this. We'll have to learn to live with this for a while now. So how do we adopt the right kind of metrics in terms of sanitation, in terms of social distancing, and yet get on with economy? I think that's the thing that I think we in the manufacturing domain are looking at, right? Some of the areas that where we believe, whether it is what can be done in and what we are focused on is how do we get manufacturing started, right? Some of us have been started the plan several weeks ago, but our supply partners were not all on at the same time, or some took a little bit longer. In some cases, it was on and off, meaning they started, they were told to shut off, which doesn't help the entire industry. But going forward, I think we are seeing, and we would like to see a little more help on the MSMEs, right? Focus on the lower end of the pyramid, focus on self-reliance. What I mean with that is, it's an opportunity for India to focus a little bit more on make in India, design in India, manufactured in India, and bring a lot of localization into India. And especially there's an opportunity globally to look at what was done globally or even in other parts of Asia, and what can India replace? How can we be part of that value chain globally, right? So I look at this as an opportunity as to how we can retool ourselves quickly, how we can take care of our supply chain, how we can take care of our dealers, and more importantly, how about that migrant laborers who walked away? Are we going to incentivize them to come back? How are we going to take care of some of those people who need to come back and help us grow?
That's a good point.
Nagesh, I want to ask you,
Yeah.
Your sector is about manufacturing, and you work with large players. Now, when you talk to the CEOs or CXOs, what is the sense that you get on the package?
Sorry, come again, Mr. Batra.
When you talk to your customers, when you talk to the CEOs of the companies that you collaborate with, work with, what is the sense you get on the package? What are their reactions? What are the areas they would have liked to see some specific interventions?
So, for example, in the automotive industry, one of the things that is one of the bigger requests is automotive industry was down for a while now, right? And one of the things was the GST reduction, right? There has been, and maybe not forever, but can you at least look at it over a shorter period of time, say 6 months or 12 months, spur the economy. The other thing is, and this has been done in the West, cash for clunkers. Can you recycle, take out all the old vehicles, whether it's 2-wheelers or 4-wheelers, incentivize them and get the, right? So I think there are some things that have worked in the past. Like I said, this is unprecedented and we appreciate everything that the government is doing. All we're saying is, I think let's get creative. Let's get the demand side going and also help the smaller guy, the dealers, the laborers, the people who really, really need the help right now.
Okay, that's a good point.
That's on the supply chain.
And I think also what Mr. Basavanalli, of course, is saying is we've got to look at how we'll actually get the laborers back to work. Now, interestingly, salt companies in Gujarat are saying double the wages. You come back, they're double the wages, but will that really lead to laborers returning right now? That's the big question, specifically with governments like UP now are looking at local employment for the migrants who return and actually saying that we're not going to let them go back unless we give explicit permission for the same. So it's going to be quite interesting how that plays out as well. We'll possibly touch upon that after the break. But let me bring in Mr. Bindra now, if we can, as well, of badabusiness.com. Welcome, sir. And last but not the least, Dr. Bindra, your reaction so far to the package that you've heard. What are you optimistic about what the government has announced? What are you pessimistic about? And the opportunities that you believe we really need to tap into?
Dhanyavad, basically what I want to focus here is the MSME part, which is acting like a jam and a butter in the sandwich, supporting the lower level of the sandwich, which means the migrant laborers, and also the upper layer of the sandwich means acting as a supply chain to large corporates. If you look at the existing government, they've done well in ease of doing business. They've came down from some 100 rank to 77th in 2019 to 63rd rank in 2020, which is nice. But something which is hidden right now is ease of starting business, not ease of doing business. Currently, we are at 136th rank in the world, ease of starting business. Now, there's a lady, Ms. Jyoti from hospitality. Here's the point I want to make in her favor, basically, that to start a restaurant in Delhi, you need 45 documents out of one license that is required, and out of 26 license, the one license needs 45 documents to be cleared from Delhi police. But if you want to buy a gun, you need just 19 license, which means buying a gun in India is easier than starting a business in India. So what do you need basically? The challenge right now is the ground level. For the MSMEs, the government had started MSME Samadhan portal, Samadhan monitoring portal. कि अगर किसी को पैसा नहीं मिल रहा है तो समाधान मॉनिटरिंग पोर्टल आके मदद करेगा and he'll get your money back. Don't worry about it. But I am more worried. You know why? 41,000 applications have been filed. Only 3,000 cases have been settled, which is far less than 10%. Total amount involved in Samadhan portal, जिसका पैसा नहीं मिला लोगों को, is 11,000 crore, and settled amount is only 500 crores. Another problem that I feel is our skill development sector. You see, look at the ESDP or NSDC, etc. They've done a lot of work. But right now we are comparing our labor with Bangladeshi labor. Or we should look at the comparison with Chinese labor. The efficiency
with Vietnamese labor.
More. Sorry.
With labor from Vietnam. We lost a lot of business in textile to Vietnam.
To Vietnam, correct. To Bangladesh and Vietnam, they are so agile, fast and quick. Madam Dr. Raghuvanshi was talking about agility and leadership. but we are losing business here. If you look at this, the manufacturing business. Now, one more important point, or two more important points I want to make here. Our production capacity is really low. We don't have industrial network clustering here. If you go to China, practically, they've got cities for everything. But if you look at our country at the moment, for clothing, furniture, electronics, mobile handset, any kind of manufacturing, we don't have industrial network large size of clustering, which is basically a challenge now to make a self-reliant country. You need more FDIs.
Okay.
FDIs are shifting more to Bangladesh and Vietnam, like Dr. Batra already mentioned. Another point, basically, you're not helping the MSME solve his current cash problems. You're only giving him more opportunities of loan offtake. But if you look at the existing challenges, they have a scheme which is called 59 minutes mein loan le lo. MSME business loan in 59 minutes.
Yeah.
I want to draw your attention here. See, either जो loan sanction or loan disbursed में बहुत फर्क है. Loan sanctioned are 50,000 loans have been sanctioned, but disbursal is only about 50% of that 50,000.
Yeah, let me throw it open now to the entire panel. We've heard from all of you your opening comments. Now it's time to dive straight into the panel discussions. What are the what's the macro picture looking like right now, and specifically what sector-specific announcements you need, and what sector-specific opportunities there are as well. Should we prioritize certain sectors where we have an opportunity so that we don't lose out more business to Vietnam, as some of our panelists were saying early on? And what more do we need to do to attract investment out of China but into India? Dr. Batra, would you like to take it ahead?
No, I just want to ask Dr. Vivek Bindra. Since we've been doing this show for about 2 weeks, a lot of experts have come and said that, you know, entrepreneurs should not depend on the government. The reason they're entrepreneurs is because they're creative enough to find solutions. As Dr. Raghuvanshi said, they will lead, they will pivot. So tell us, when you talk to entrepreneurs, Dr. Bindra, are they happy with the package? If they're happy, why? If they're not happy, why are they not happy?
Yeah. So basically, if you look at their happiness index, the MSMEs will never be happy. I'll tell you why. Because if you look at the dealings with the banks are disbursing more loans to the corporates. Even if you look at the current package, let's focus on the current package. The large corporates have higher NPA rates of 18 to 19%. Still for them, the loan offtake is easy. The smaller MSMEs, their current NPA rate is less than 3%. Still for them, the loan offtake is difficult. If you look at the exact situation, can I tell you here an important point? What is needed was interest waiver or income tax waiver or reduction in GST to handle my current immediate cash flow problems. The problem is you're giving more loans to somebody who's already troubled by the loan. It's basically not visible. It only looks good on the paper. Implementation is really weak. The MSME who is supporting 28% to the contribution of GDP and expected to grow to contribute 50%. It is contributing 50% already in export, and they are expecting it to contribute 65% in export. It is contributing an employment of 11. Plus, if you're asking me, Dr. Batra, are people happy or they're not happy? If you look at them, जो 45 लाख लोगों को ही benefit मिल सकता है स्कीम का, which is 10% of the actual MSME, which is 6.3 crores. क्यों? क्योंकि वो जो enforcing credit guarantee का जो स्कीम है उसके लिए कुछ बीच में conditions हैं, collateral free automatic loans जो है. Now, what do you need is you need to take care of the current salaries, the rentals, the expenditures. Okay. You're right, Dr. Batra, that entrepreneur is very intelligent. He'll find out improvement cycle, he'll pivot, he'll find out new ways, new solutions. But you want to leave them every time on their own and not creating a right ecosystem. A weak entrepreneur remains weak in India and becomes strong when he goes to US. A strong becomes more strong here when he stays in India and will become weak when he goes to US, because currently, if you look at 2014-15, the challenge is the banking scandals, which is going to only increase right now. If you take away the CVC, CAG, CBI, if you take away them and tell them nobody's going to question you, मैं guarantee दूंगा दूंगा पीछे से आप लोन ले लो. Your watchdogs and increasing more possibility of building more crises around those the frauds which were happening in the banking industry. अगर लोन दे देंगे बिना चेक करे तो भी ट्रबल है, लोन नहीं देंगे तो ट्रबल. What you need right
Okay, point taken, point taken. Let me take that to Mr. Basavanhalli if we can. Mr. Basavanhalli, you were making the point of incentivizing the return of migrant laborers earlier. What more needs to be done to get them back to work? Otherwise, we're going to see projects delayed and productivity suffer at various factories and various industrial sites across the country.
So clearly, I think that getting the laborers back, getting the people back, I think is a critical part, right? Instilling in them the confidence that this too shall pass, and obviously with the right checks and balance, like all of us as responsible businesses, we need to take all the right things in terms of social distancing, hygiene, proper accommodation, all of that stuff, right? So that is one. The other aspect also is the part of skilling and making sure that the local polytechnics, the local schools, how can we work with the local systems to churn out more capable people locally also, right? This is a great time also to kind of make sure, why can't we encourage more and more people to come into good, lucrative jobs in manufacturing, industrial, right? Supply chain. I think we need to look at this a little more holistically. One could be, what do we need to do immediately? One could be, what do we need to do at the high school level in terms of vocational training, getting our high school or the 10th standard pass graduate, how is he going to be useful? In fact, making sure that apprenticeship programs that are helpful for the industry, or engineering programs that are helpful for industry-ready engineers, right? So I think we need to look at this as an opportunity to almost like retool, do what we need to do today, but also don't forget what we need to retool over the next 2-3 years.
Okay. Dr. Akmal,
I also wanted to get Prabal Basu Roy. Mr. Roy, what else do you think the government can do in stage 2, stage 3? What are the possibilities, even with the tight fiscal condition that the government has? What can it do to make sure that the companies stay alive and hence help the government fill its coffers in the economy to do well?
So Anurag, what you're asking me is essentially what more is needed. But
That's
for
right.
that, I'll first go to say what is missing. It's a function of what is missing. I mean, what is really missing, according to me, is a comprehensive roadmap for a recovery plan. We have heard nothing of the sort in the public domain or by the government. And this will contain 3-4 basic things at a very high level. One is, what is the exit plan at all for a stimulus if the stimulus comes? Because that will determine the nature of the stimulus and the amount of the stimulus. So what is the exit plan for that? What is the exit plan for the lockdown? Still now it has been pretty arbitrary, and obviously it has been extremely disproportionate. So what is the exit plan for a lockdown? Third, what is the fiscal plan to get the macros back on track, and over what period of time? That, and finally, you'd be surprised that, not surprised, I mean, I'm sure till today, we don't even have the GDP estimates from the government. It's only Reserve Bank which has given an estimate. The government has not given it, not even a GDP estimate. So, and the fourth one, according to me, is what will be the end use of the money which is being raised, which will be raised or spent, in a separate bucket. That needs to be responsibly used.
And
so
should,
these
and
4
should
things
we
are
worry
missing.
about credit ratings? Should we at
Correct.
this stage worry about credit rating? Not
Correct.
worry.
So all this will impact credit ratings. That is how credit rating agencies actually do. It is not the fiscal slippage per se. It is a combination of all these things to ensure that we have a government which is in control. That is what this gives. Now, it's very uncertain. We all know it's very uncertain. But then we do scenario analysis, right? Everyone does. So we can do a scenario analysis and say, this is the range in which the GDP would be. This is the range of the fiscal stimulus, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So when we talk of a rating downgrade, this is what is important. Is it a government in control? And my fear is the insecurity or the indecision of the government in either giving the stimulus, a real stimulus, or even giving these exit plans or a macro recovery plan is coming from the fact that they really do not know what to do. And for that, my biggest take is, please take help of experts. There are enough experts in the country who, within your party, outside your party, and some who are not aligned at all. People like Vimal Jalan, people like, Dr. Manmohan Singh, of course, people like Rangarajan. We have enough, and Raghuram Rajan, Arvind, all of them. There are a lot of very good economists who are available. Please take their help. Okay. So this is what is missing. Now, specifically to answer your question on what more is needed, I of course mentioned more direct transfer immediately is needed to vulnerable people, MSMEs, tax reliefs, all of that. More importantly is measures to stimulate demand. The route which we have taken so far, which I said is not a bad route to take, will come through the reforms side, which will take time.
It's long term.
It will take time. Yes, exactly. So we need some immediate steps to revive demand. And for that, at least to the limited knowledge which I have, Keynesian economics is the only route, which is you spend your way on infrastructure, on building infrastructure. We talk of competing with China. There's no hope in hell we can compete with China unless we at least build our infrastructure in place.
That's the only
and I've
way
spoken
we
about
get demand back.
Correct. So let's build infrastructure.
Come back to you. At this point, I want to bring Mr. R.S. Ahuja. Mr. Ahuja, right up front, you said cut in GST, bring down the stamp duty rates. You made two specific recommendations. What else do you think the government can do to make sure that the businesses stay healthy, survive, and eventually produce enough profit to be able to compensate for these 6 months or 8 months of disruption?
I think, Anurag, the first thing is that the movement that has happened this time and the mental fatigue that has happened is comparable to a 1947. And the most important thing to my mind is the confidence building. And here, the most important thing is, in business and in finance, we talk of a timing issue. If you need the money or if you need the confidence and if you need it today and it comes 6 months down the line, the best of the businesses are not going to survive. So therefore...
But let me say, as we speak, the government has kept its promises of making tax refunds. Companies and people have started to get their tax refunds. Companies have started to get their payments. So the government has started actioning what it's saying. I want to tell the viewers that the government is not just talking, the government is doing. As we speak, I know of companies that have got their tax refunds, they've got their payments from government. So the government is walking the talk. It is executing, which is what one of the demands that everybody had on the show is that execution should be front-loaded. I see that happening. What more, Mr. Ahuja?
Anurag, you see, the tax refunds relates to previous years. Frankly, they had been wrongfully withheld. But I'm glad they've taken these steps. And tax refunds are only 14,000 crores. And they were the taxpayers' own money coming back to them after 2 years. So in that sense, confidence building, yes, but baby steps. Here is what is important, as Mr. Prabal Roy said, that we have the best brains, and this is the time when you can put together the best brains and come up with whatever solutions you have. Yeah. And you have to look very proactive. You have to come up with them absolutely quickly so that you feel, an industrialist feels that, look, this government is my government. I can go to them. And this is not a time for ideology. The government should refrain from, projecting their ideology. They should say, okay, we are business friendly and we are migrant friendly. And also they should think out of the box.
The government in the last 2 months has not been ideological. The government has tried to bring in experts.
Absolutely.
They can bring in more, but the government has been consulting, whether it's in the healthcare sector or economic livelihood. The government has been, the finance sector has been doing meetings with industry bodies, and some of those industries may not have, like we'll go to Jyoti. Jyoti, the travel sector is decimated. Your revenues in the last 2 months have come to zero, and that's really MSME. Also, they're part of the services sector, which is such an important sector. You already asked for some of the things, but what are the specific things you think the government can do for you as more things come from the government?
And what's the sentiment right now? Because as the president of your industries association, you're obviously interacting with all the stakeholders. So what's the sentiment, if you can share with us? You'll have to unmute yourself again.
The sentiments are very low right now, for sure, because like Anurag and you've just said, our business is zero. It's not only zero, I think it's negative. And we don't even know how we are going to survive, forget the revival part. And we actually, we have an association called Faith, where we are 10 associations sitting together, and we have worked out a beautiful document for the government to work on it, giving all our demands, which were just statutory. Like just now I heard Ravinder Singh say that we wanted complete GST and income tax-free holidays, which was not a difficult thing for the government to give. Or we do not want TDS to be there right now. We want 200% weighted exemption on MICE businesses. So these are things which the government could have easily initiated and given us a holding, Anurag and Uday, that we say that we should be self-sufficient, we should be self-reliant. But tell me, when has the government allowed us to be self-sufficient, self-reliant? Every 2 years, we see an airline defaulting. You know, who protects our monies? Jet Airways went, Kingfisher went, other international airlines have gone. Our monies are always stuck. So we've never been able to come up from these challenges by itself. And then right now, the biggest fear that is looming into our members' vision is that maybe some more airlines will go, because national report says that the industry is in a very bad shape. Yeah. And the airlines are, if they do not get bailouts from their own countries, are going to go default. So if they go default, what is our challenge right now? And I'm sure you've been all reading in the papers. Oh, there's been a part of our revival plan so many times. We've said this to him, a huge amount. You know, we are a 90,000 crore business only for aviation, where ticketing is concerned. You know, and you know how much of refunds are lying with the airlines? It's really like 10,000 crores, and it's adding up every day and every day. Are we sure we are going to get this money? Is the government going to protect us this money? We are not sure about it. The government has not even come forward to say, hey, how can we do it? We have to run behind them to regulate this industry. We are such an unorganized industry. They haven't ever thought about giving such an important industry status. And then we, on behest of the government, are trying to collect data for them. You know, we don't even know how many travelers exist in this country. We have a very, not even 1/4, which are literally like recognized industry, recognized agents. The balance are very unorganized. So where do we get the exact data from? What are the rules and regulations set by our government to see that?
So while the necessary rebates are needed, which you mentioned, there's also a need for streamlining the industry. There's also a need for regulatory regulation and regulatory bodies to kick in, as you're saying, to get these refunds which are due to you actually back into your accounts. But Dr. Raghuvanshi, let me take that to you, because it's hard times even for the real estate sector. But you were pretty earlier, and things to be positive about. Can you list some of those reasons why you are still optimistic for your industry picking up and reviving, yes, particularly, and what the government can do to aid this? Because we've also, through the course of these NewsX Businessworld panels, also spoken to auto sector experts, and that's another industry which is not doing very well at all. But there is optimism for them as well, because they're saying right now, with public transport's use coming down and people scared to go in public places because of the COVID-19, individual cars demand may pick up, or individual two-wheelers demand may pick up. So that's a reason for them to cheer. What's the reason for your industry to cheer, and what can government do to further your opportunities?
Yeah. So Uday, I am very optimistic for a few reasons. One is that the NRIs have once again started looking home. So they've started looking back, and in a certain way, home is an essential commodity. Everybody needs their house, and they keep upgrading it, So unlike Jyoti ji, where it's contact sector, and of course I completely empathize and understand what she's going through, but everybody needs a home. And whatever your line of business may be, you need a place to work. So real estate per se is in a, yes, we are going through a bad phase. I'm stepping into my 30th year in reality. I haven't changed industries. That's the kind of passion and love that I have for this industry. And Anurag ji's been with me for a long part of that. But NRIs are looking back home. there is hope that a lot of companies would be shifting their manufacturing bases, and we will rise up to the occasion and be in a position in the new India to start building for them. And also that would lead to job creation. There is no dearth of talent. If talent is coming home to buy properties, like I said, the NRIs, that's their first home buyers.
Just
So
to support
I personally
Anantaji's
feel
point
even
of view,
before a person, youngster will buy
yeah,
a
the
car,
millennials
he
will
will
possibly
probably buy
invest
a
into
home.
a home now instead of renting. As she said, they're spending more time at home. They possibly want to own a house.
Yes.
I'm just supporting what you're saying.
So whether it's co-living spaces or whether it is studio apartments or whether it is, people will be happy to have a small home of their own near their place of work. And they still have their base where they do have. In the first place, they moved out because they had nothing to do there. Even if you created something for them to do there, that creation will take years at this point of time. The day a vaccine is found there, we are talking after 2 months of lockdown, whether it is Jyoti ji or me or Anurag ji or Vivek ji, hum sab thake, haare, dukhi is waqt hai. We are at ground zero, like she said, maybe negative. But the day a vaccine is found, uske aap 2 din ke baad isi panel ko bulayega and see what the mood is. Because there's a problem, and the minute there's a solution to that problem, I think everything is going to get back to normal. We will make money, and more than what we need. We will make enough money, we will make more than what it is. What is being discussed in houses? Mera ye summer travel plan tha, ye nahi hua, wo nahi hua, that's being discussed. The first opportunity people get, they will do all the things they love and they enjoy. But this has to pass. We just have to wait for the storm to pass and just put all our positive energies together in helping each other through this in the best possible manner. The laborers will come back, the sites will open up, the factories will open, more business will open. And do not forget our numbers. I mean, it's so many people have healed. Start with that. How many people have been cured? You know, and how many people have we lost?
You're clearly the most optimistic person that's been on our show.
Thank you.
Weeks have been around.
But let's
Thank you for bringing that optimism. We need that.
And compare that with any other country. That's how media should be reporting.
Yeah.
Dr. Bindra, we want your closing comments on how to get the economy back. What can be done by the government? What can be done by the entrepreneurs?
धन्यवाद. मैं आई ऑल्सो वांट टू कमेंट डॉक्टर बत्रा, अभी जो आपने 2-3 बातें बोली कि भाई गवर्नमेंट तो बहुत कुछ कर रही है अभी आपने, मैं उस पर भी एक कमेंट करना चाहता हूँ. यू राइट, गवर्नमेंट इज डूइंग अ लॉट, बट लेकिन वो जो पुराने जख्म है जो एग्जीक्यूशन पैरालिसिस के थे वो आज ज्यादा दिख रहे हैं. आज वो इसलिए तकलीफ दे रहे हैं कि गवर्नमेंट इज टेकिंग डिसीजंस. आपने अभी सेकंड क्वेश्चन पूछा अभी क्या करें. मुझे लगता है कि द अमाउंट दैट इज स्टक, पेमेंट डिलेज even from the PSUs or the government sector is right now 5.5 lakh crore, 5.5 lakh crore amount is stuck, which is due to MSMEs at the moment. 40 to 60% ratio में कुछ state government से आना है, कुछ central government से आना है. पर लेकिन मैं what I want to share with you here is, if you want a long-term solution, if you're looking for a long-term solution, see, you're right. Thank you, Dr. Ananta Raghuvanshi. बड़ा थोड़ा आपने hopes भी बढ़ाई, energy build कर दी आपने. Thank you for that. मैं भी एक अच्छी गुड न्यूज देता हूं. वी डिड एन इवेंट लास्ट, लाइक डॉक्टर बत्रा मेंशन्ड. इंडियन एंटरप्रेन्योर बहुत होपफुल है. अमेरिका एंड रशिया हैड दैट वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड ऑफ डूइंग लर्निंग प्रोग्राम एंड ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम, दैट हाउ डू यू रिवाइव योर बिजनेस. बट व्हेन वी डिड इन इंडिया, वी broke all the world records. I delivered a program last month and it was a Guinness Book World Record. Now next program that I'm doing is also on business expansion and sales, online webinar. I've got 2 million registrations. Can I tell you something here, Mr. Uday and Dr. Batra? You'd like it. The last world record is 10,000. I have got 2 million registrations already. The 10,000 last record was by an American organization. An Indian organization, this bada business, we've got 2 million. Where is the comparison? 10,000 and 2 million. It simply states कि भाई इंडिया में लोगों में आज भी उम्मीद बहुत है. But what is needed right now, एक और बड़ा अच्छा तरीका है, वो अभी थोड़ा करना मुश्किल होगा, which is formalizing the MSMEs. What we are missing right now कि आज बहुत टैक्स चोरी हो रहा है. अगर 6.5 करोड़ MSME रजिस्टर्ड है, So 7 crore MSME are also which are not registered at the moment, which means equal amount of lot of MSME are not registered to say crisis में we cannot help them. The tax is not being given. और वो लोग अगर incorporate कर दे तो उसके कारण बाद
में formalization of the MSME sector is needed, and as you are saying, you are also quite optimistic, and those facts that you just quoted really are an example of that. Let's start wrapping up now, Dr. Batra. A quick rapid fire. If you can start it out
in 3 or 5 words. The way forward to get the economy back from everyone. We start with Nagesh and go around the house. In 3 or 5 words, how do we get the business back? How either we can pivot or we can perish. How do we get
I believe as a nation we need to do it. We can focus on innovation, both business model and other ways of innovation.
Mr. Ahuja, how do we get business back? Quick, short word.
I think the migrant labor that has gone back are a huge bundle of talent. They've been working all over the country, and their energy should be channelized very positively to where they have gone back. So those who want to come back, welcome back. But those who don't want to, because अभी सदमा लगा हुआ है, तो उनकी energy को channelize करना एक बहुत important part है.
Okay.
बहुत important part.
Okay.
Miss Jyoti Mayal, your final comments on what it takes to get the economy.
I would say we need to reinvent, we need to restructure, we need to reboot, and cooperation is the need of the hour, which I think we should move forward with.
Dr. Raghuvanshi, how to reboot the economy?
She's let's just give her a second to change her screen. Meanwhile, Prabal Basu Roy.
Yeah.
Well, short term, more direct transfer. Medium term, stimulate demand by building infrastructure and increasing Manrega. And long term, printing our way out of this is just not going to work. So make the reforms which you have announced, make them implementable so that we are competitive. And AATMANIRBHAR does not mean isolation. We have to be part of the global chain and build scale and effectiveness. That's the thing.
Dr. Vivek Bindra and then Dr. Raghuvanshi. Dr. Bindra, your last comments?
I'll agree with this point. Mr. Roy said AATMANIRBHAR doesn't mean isolation. You are part of the global chain, which is wonderful. AATMANIRBHAR doesn't mean that reject BMW. It means कि आप Mahindra और Tata को improve करें. It doesn't mean reject Rado. It means Titan की घड़ियों को अच्छा करें. So we need to actually work to build our entrepreneurship and the business models in such a way which will sustain for longer period.
Okay. Fantastic. Last but not the least, Dr. Raghuvanshi.
I think since I'm last, all the points have already been covered. I should just not be repetitive. And the only thing I would say is that in these times, let's just all thank the health workers. Let's thank the men in uniform who are working so hard for internal security and external security both. I think there is enough talent, enough brains in our country, and enough commitment to come out of this problem.
Okay.
I feel honored.
So be thankful, be thankful, be thankful. Jyoti Mayal, would you like to also say a line before we close?
Sorry?
I've already said that, but we really need to, like I said, restructure ourselves, and that's where we need the hand holding from the government. It is very easy to say to create infrastructure, but there have to be people to use it.
We have to leave it at that. We're completely out of time. My thanks to all our panelists for joining us in this particular discussion, and we hope to have many more of these in the future as well, because right now conversations are needed, dialogue is needed for us to unite and of course conquer the current pandemic and then hopefully emerge stronger out of it. Thank you so much to all of our panelists for joining us. And
for more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.